Welcome back to another episode of Eric's Camping Adventures.
Today is a quick, easy project in my garage.
You might be wondering what I'm doing today. It seemed like a pretty simple little grind and fit, but I'm actually building a very simple roof rack.
These crossbars came from my daughter's car. I had used it just a few times to load the kayak up on. Made one video out of that kayak trip and then basically put them in the attic. And I thought, wow, this has a really nice T-track on top. I'm going to use this. These 3.5-inch long carriage bolts are going to become the posts that hold my traction boards. And I will actually put some 3/8-inch fuel line hose on these posts to just kind of provide a little bit of cushion, eliminate the rattle, and put some wing nuts on top with a fender washer. You might be thinking to yourself, that T-track is not designed for that. It's designed to create additional strength within the tubing. This is absolutely right, and I am not suggesting that you should do this. However, I am a really big repurposer, so I would suggest that instead of always buying all new or always needing to come up with something fancy and the latest, try to repurpose some stuff. You might find some good function out of it, and I'm actually really excited about this project. No money and good function. I did look into a brand name roof rack. I looked at a Prinsu roof rack for my application. It was very expensive. I would have paid for it to get the low profile, but then I looked at the process of installation. And the process for installation is basically you have to rip out the bottom of the interior all the way up to the top. The bolts to have the current roof rack removed are on the inside of the interior, not exterior. So that was just prohibitive. So this is not going to be as low profile, but it's going to be very inexpensive and it will function.
I'm going to go.
Okay. Love you.
Love you. Stop.
You've probably noticed I'm not into the greatest and latest brand. I'm not into branding for me or for sponsorship or for political identification. I'm just into camping and functional camping, getting out there, getting into the outdoors, and just having a good time. What I'm doing here is I am measuring to make sure that each edge of the traction board to the end of the rail is exactly the same so that the traction boards can be centered at the center of the vehicle. I will include in the description a link for these type of crossbars if you're interested in this type of a project. Again, I'm not recommending this. I tried to overbuild this just a little bit for strength by putting 3 bolts in each case, and you're going to see that coming up. I decided to put a series of washers against the aluminum T-track so that the iron nut did not chew up the aluminum T-track. Those are just some fender washers from the drawer at Tractor Supply. Nothing fancy. I am a little concerned about whether or not my wing nut will loosen or not. So we'll just have to play with that a little bit. I don't know, maybe a little Teflon tape on there. I have no idea.
So far, this is coming together pretty good. This is going to be how I keep my traction boards on top.
The next step is to try to figure out how to put these Harbor Freight cases on top. This is the most expensive part of this little project.
I got these things lined up, and I got to drill some holes for the T-bolt to come up through and mount the case. I want to put 3 holes on each side of the case and mount those through with some brackets, and then I will grind them down until they're nice and even. I don't think I'm going to need to paint them or anything like that. They're going to be protected. Just going to get them smooth so that I don't get a burr reaching in my own case, right? Yeah, this is the part that's not fun. This makes the cases non-returnable.
What I'm doing here is I took some white touch-up paint and I am just placing a center mark in the middle of the T-track that will give me a reference point for the location of the holes I'm going to drill for some smaller bolts to come up from the T-track and into the case. Yes, I measured twice, repositioned, measured again, measured twice again to make sure these were exactly where I wanted them on the rail. My thought out plan is to use some 1/4 inch, 1 inch long carriage bolts to over drill with a 3/8 inch drill bit, so there's a little bit of forgiveness built into the system. That little extra space of quote forgiveness will give me a little tolerance to try to make up for my mistakes in where I drill. These are some 1/4 inch, 1 inch long carriage bolts. These are going to go from the T-track up inside the Harbor Freight case and be fastened down with a washer on both sides. I will put some butyl putty in there to prevent leakage.
I'm going to oversize these holes just a little bit, just so I have a little bit of play putting it together. Try to get the hole right on center. I'm going to go right in here in this one here, one here, one here. Go around that rib, pull it flat. And I'm probably actually going to put a little butyl putty around it, just keep the water out on a rainy day.
With most of my projects, I'm pretty good at eyeballing things. I'm not suggesting that you should do that, but yeah, just kind of came together here. I do have a little bit of a knack for eyeballing. That's basically how I built my teardrop trailer, was with eyeballing, with some general measurements, and hey, it came together.
Forgiveness works. Just put a little butyl putty right down on there. Smash that down on there. Lock washer.
I did use a 3/8" drill bit to create just a little bit of extra play, and I am filling it with butyl putty.
To watch that on a hot day. Some of this putty's going to come out and get some of my equipment. I guess it'll waterproof it.
I am doing this without safety glasses. I could not find my safety glasses, so I got the thing set, and then I ground it with my eyeballs closed. I think that the top weight on this rack is about 75 pounds. It is limited at 200 for the rails, so I've got 125 pounds of camp chairs, sleeping bags, cots, pads that I can stick up into these small little cases.
Don't worry about it, just slide it forward. Hold on, not too fast, I don't want to lose control of it. So you might notice that's not the Jeep. It's also not the Honda Pilot. So the Jeep is still in the shop, getting the transmission just looked at today. It's been in there several weeks. It's been on a waiting list. Just getting it in today. And yeah, so I had to get another adventure vehicle in the meantime, because if I didn't, prices are going to be going up soon. So I went and got a Subaru Forester Wilderness Edition, and my son and I are going to put this to use here in just a little bit. We're going to head up to a video quite some time ago that I made, that this was on my bucket list, and it's finally going to happen. Got a couple weeks off from work, and we're going to disappear. So this is going to be the ride.